I was a patient at Columbia St. Mary's. However, I went to the emergency room at West Allis Memorial, and I went in 3 months early. I was admitted due to complications, and I had to have her the next, or 2 days later, and it was a pretty awful experience, but all the doctors at West Allis were completely awesome. They were assuring like I was having a good, healthy pregnancy all along. It's just the way my body reacted, and I had to have the baby. So I had the baby, and then I wanted to breastfeed. So when a baby is born 3 months early, they can't eat right away. Their bodies don't know how to digest the food. So I just started pumping and freezing. Everything was going completely fine for probably the first week or two, and then I became engorged all the time. I was always uncomfortable. This is common when you're breastfeeding, when your milk is just coming in. It's the way your body is figuring out how much milk to make, if you make a lot of milk or if you make a little bit of milk. So it was just a really uncomfortable time. And this happened with my first child, like just this engorgement period, and then it went away. However, this was not going away. And that's when I was in the NICU every day, and then the NICU asked for a lactation consultant to come down. And they came down, and they gave me so many different recommendations, like they thought of teas that I should drink or things that I shouldn't eat to help with the engorgement, and one even like said put cabbage leaves on you to help it relieve some of it, the tenderness and the fullness. They had a lot of really good ideas, and some of them actually seemed to help, like compressions, warm compressions, cold ones, and some of them helped. However, I felt like it was lasting a lot longer than the first time. So they're a team of lactation consultants, and I don't want to say like one is assigned to my case, because it's not like that. They just are everywhere. I would be in the NICU, and they would just be doing rounds and being like, how is breastfeeding going? They might encourage me, or just like say, like try to give me some tips to help me through it. And they have this huge binder, and like no matter what consultant I talked to, they had this binder, and I don't know if they had all my information in it, but they just knew everything about me. And I can't imagine them like having meetings and talking about every individual mom. Somehow they just, but maybe they do, but there's just so many women in that facility between the NICU and labor and delivery. I can't imagine them like knowing everything, but they have this book that's probably like their brains, and they knew everything. So no matter who came down to help me, it's like one picked up where the other left off. And I thought that was like just amazing. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, how do you know me? But they knew somehow. And then anyways, one came down after they gave me all these tips. One came down and just like watched me pump and breastfeed, because by this time I could barely pump. It hurt. And they were like, well, let's change the size of your flanges, and we did, and that actually helped. But I was still engorged, and by this time I was just so sick of breastfeeding. I mean, I had a baby in the NICU, and I was at home stressed and tired, and who wants to get up in the middle of the night and pump all the time when I'm not even really, like, the baby's not even eating the food at this time, so I was just stressed, and I'm like, what's the point? Like, I might as well just do formula, I'll get some sleep, I'll get my life back on track. But it's like when I'd go into the NICU, they were always there, and I don't know, everyone's different, and they didn't pressure me in any way, but I felt like I wanted to do this because they were so pro breastfeeding, and like they are that way because they know how beneficial it is. I mean, they don't get by them having 9 out of 10 women breastfeed. It's not like they get a raise or any commission. They do it because they care, and they know that it's the right thing for the baby. It's going to help them the best for when they're older. So I just was like, okay, that was my kind of encouragement. And they never discouraged formula or anything. They never made me feel like I would be less of a mother if I turned to breastfeeding, because by then I think they understood my frustrations. I was ready to throw in the towel and just be